Hi, let's do a recap about reincarnation. Um, and before I begin, I'd just like to do a quick shout out to my sister Charmaine. She seems to be the only family member in my old life that still looking me up for some reason. People I may know. I don't know why, but I love you, Charmaine, and you're always welcome to come home to my heart, but I just don't know if you can. I don't know if your ego will let you. Okay, so, but I am open, and I want you to know that if you're listening. Reincarnation was a foul idea to me when I was a Christian. I didn't believe in it. And if anybody ever talked to me about it, I would shut down my ears and walk away and think about something else and dismiss them because it wasn't my subject. It wasn't anything I thought about ever. Until Trevor died and I was introduced to the spirit world. And my intuitive senses continued to work for me throughout the last, you know, well, he died in 2003. And he sat on my bed. He has spoken to me. He's shown up in my mirrors. I see light shadows all the time. But not only that, I hear telepathic messages. So this was a new world to me. And I, was instantly demonized by not only doctors, but by my pastor at the church in Vernon, British Columbia, told me that I was playing with the devil by talking about this, and my son is in hell. And pastor was a woman. She said my son was in hell, and I should never, ever talk about this again. And then my family found, because they have support in media and wherever else they get educated, they have all the support in the world that reincarnation and spirits and nothing is true. And then you have liars that show up that have an agenda to make reincarnation into a trap. That you're trapped here on earth and you're going to be trapped here forever um, because it's a trap here. You can't go to heaven. That's basically the message. Well, they say there's another paradise. It's the Bible, the whole Bible says another paradise that we're waiting for here, right? Another God, another parent of some kind, and another promised land. Not this land. No, we don't appreciate this land, but we are waiting for another land. And there is no other land. This is our land. This is Earth. And we are spirits. What I know for a fact now, with all of my spiritual intelligence gathered, the common denominators put together, the dots connected, well, soon enough, the big picture did arrive to me. And then I was able to witness it, reincarnation, within my own family. So this is what I know. We are given 100 years to live. We are spirits here for a time with our human senses, which we don't have when we're invisible. But we have the emotional memories of our senses. We can remember smelling, tasting, touching, and feeling. We can remember that. But it's only when we first cross over that we still have our consciousness of earth and then an instant understanding of our mistake. And the misunderstanding is we miss life. We, especially in the last 100 years with media and Hollywood, we are watching life. We are not experiencing life. And we are dying faster than our 100 years. We get 100 years of life. We get 5 generations that we are born with. We come with a plan with our soulmates and our twin flames. We want to experience life on earth and we want to achieve something. Right now, we are trying to thin the veil, crack egos. Egos have to be cracked. When the ego dies, and that is all learned entitlement, authority, um, it's learned, it's left brain, it's artificial intelligence. If it did not come from you, it's artificial intelligence. So, in every spectrum of our media and research, you're going to find liars show up and make you, um, you know, you're going to end up back in Abraham's book where you're full of fear or full of shame or you want to change, you're not enough, everything's hard, and you have to go by rules and the law. And the cycle is that. That is the trap. It's not that we're trapped to live. We want to live. But we are trapped within our own family, who we are losing. We're losing our families and our histories and our plans because of our egos. All right, and now I know that we come reincarnated with our soulmates. This is how it worked in my family, and my sister may be interested to know that when our mother died in 2009, she was a very angry mental woman, angry at me. She put all of her rage on me. I made the mistake of telling her the truth. And every time I tell my family the truth, they get enraged and they demonize me and then they spread the word against me. That's what my family has done all my life. But my mother really brutalized me, and she cut me out of the will in the last 2 years of her life. So I couldn't be there for her end, which I wanted to be, like I was for my father. You know, I tended to his every need when he was dying in Vancouver. And that is what really pissed off my mother. That's what kicked me over the edge with my mother. And then her golden child and other children, you know, they were going to gain with mother's hatred against me. They were going to gain greatly because she owned a condo and life insurance and had a few bucks that they could spread amongst 3 people, not 4 like me there. When my mother died, I immediately, with my cousin, went to my mother's condo to see my siblings. I didn't think there'd be a problem, but there was. Suddenly, they were angry with me. They wouldn't talk to me. My sister went into my mother's bedroom and got a box, a little box, and it was about a quarter filled with things I had bought my mom over the years, including a ring I bought her, a family ring I bought her when I was 16 with rhinestones, I think. But it was a very expensive ring for a little girl to buy for her mother, but I was always trying to get my mom to love me, and no. So my sister brought out the box and gave it to me, told me I couldn't come in, and I'm not to go to the funeral. Now, who the fuck are you to tell a daughter she cannot attend her own mother's funeral? Who are you, and what is your reason? Well, she's going to find out. Anyway, I couldn't go to the funeral, but what I did do when I took the box from her arms and saw my older brother, my only blood brother, really. My sister is a half sister. She came from mother's second better family. Her first family, my mother told me, didn't turn out right, so she wanted a second family. That's what my mother told me. So my sister looked at me with her cold, beady eyes and told me to go away. I kissed her on the cheek, and I took the box and I walked away. I didn't argue. I didn't go to the funeral. I'm not creating a scene. I was 50 years old. Exactly. It was 2009. I was born September 11th, 1959. I was 50 years old when she died. And I sent to her funeral 50 shades of roses, pink and orange and yellow and white, all these nice roses. I thought that would be pretty. And then I guess they split their money amongst each other. I don't know. But they didn't call me anymore. I had no more family. Not only that, my sister and her daughter, she took her daughter to my granddaughter's farm where she was living to tell the maternal grandparents of my grandchild that I was not fit to be a grandmother to Caitlin. And that if that grandmother didn't want Caitlin, she wanted to raise Caitlin. She wanted to raise my granddaughter. Well, the other grandmother, she was a step-grandmother too, by the way. She said, no, I want to raise her. She's going to be mine to raise. I won't let Cheryl into her life, meaning me, but I get her. So between the two of them, Cheryl won. But my sister does have my granddaughter on her Facebook. I'm sure they talk. I'm sure my sister smears me, but I'm going to tell you right now how the reincarnation cycle works so that people can better prepare themselves than acting like monkeys at a circus on Earth with their own family. My mother, how it works is you pick your mother. After you die, you go into your family thread. Like my mom would look at her children and her grandchildren and decide who she wants to be born into. So we're given 100 years and 5 generations, great grandparents, grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren. We have 5 generations that we recycle into. So when one grandma dies and a grandchild gets pregnant, you can be assured that grandparent is being born into a grandchild. So my mother had nobody to be born into in 2009. Nobody was ready to have children. Her favorite child was David, actually, not Charmaine. Her first boy from her second husband was her golden child, and she really loved him and protected him. She wanted him to be a doctor. Uh, he turned out to be an alcoholic and all sorts of other things, but he did marry an Indian girl, Deanne, who lived on an Indian reserve in Vernon, British Columbia. He married her, my brother David. And they had 3 gorgeous children, Shanae, Wesley, and Colton. And I thought they were a very happy family. They went camping, they were easygoing. They never booked a reservation anyway, and they just showed up all the time and took their chances if anything was available. And they often just showed up at my house, and I always accommodated their whole family without any problem. I loved them. But David and my mother were very close. But in, I don't know, a few years ago, I believe Shanae was ready to have a child. And my mother would have picked Shanae, my brother's oldest daughter, or only daughter, really, picked Shanae to be her mother. And I saw a picture of a small toddler who was blonde sitting with Deanne in about 2020, 2021, I can't remember. I have the picture. But I said, when I saw that, I said, that's my mother. That's my mother. And then it makes sense because Shanae was the daughter of her favorite son. And Shanae and my mother were very close. Shanae worked with my mother at the medical clinic. My mother was an accountant, and Shanae worked with her. And my mom and her were very close. And when Shanae had my mother, I have no doubt she's got my mom there. Then other plans have to come together. But in order for other plans to come together, people have to die. People have to die. So you have to understand that death may not be as bad as you think, that there may be reasons for the sudden death. other than what you're led to believe. My brother, um, the golden son, divorced his wife and moved to California and left his family behind. I don't know why. He was an alcoholic, I think. But he was out of my life by then. They cut themselves off of me, remember? They didn't want me anymore. I was too much of a reminder that they didn't let me go to my mom's funeral. And what they did to my name. But that I digress again. But he posted on his Facebook in California that it was when was this? 2022, I think, or 21, I can't remember. Yeah, 2022. He said, "It feels good to be fully vaccinated." And I guess I shouldn't have done this, but I couldn't stop myself. And his post was open for comments. So I was I said, "You got 3 to 5 years." That's what I said to my younger brother. I feel bad about that now. But I don't believe in any of this, and I just felt very bad. And he made it 1 year. In August of 2023, he died suddenly, my brother. Don't cry, because he had to. He didn't, it was in the plan. Nobody murdered him. My brother had to be born with my mother. They're going to be siblings, if they're not already now. I believe Shanae will give birth to my brother, to her father, to her grandmother's soulmate. And we come in packs like that. That's why if you have a sibling you're extra close to, or a grandparent you're extra close to, or a grandchild, you feel that extra closeness. There's a reason. But then now in paradise here, with people all angry and cheating each other and lying to each other and hiding their real feelings, nobody knows who anybody is anymore until you die. Until you die, you don't know anybody. You don't know what's in their heart. You don't know what they've done throughout their life. You don't know how they feel. Because we have been conditioned to lie for profit or to make ourselves look better. We seem to have such a need to look good in the eyes of other people that we go out of our way to shame other people to boost ourselves up. Now, I don't do that, but it gets done to me all the time. Scapegoating responsibility and then creating a demon out of your enemy is going to create your next life to be hell on earth. That is the trap. That you're going to decide upon your death to immediately come back and try to make things right again. We've been doing this for 2025 years. We are recycling, just like the stars above. go in a circle. It's a stuck circle. Um, and it's spiraling without intelligence, the cycle. The intelligence is not coming from the people. It is coming from the Godfather that rules here, the one who invented all of the religions, all of the media, all of the education. And when your brain is wired to think like a dog instead of like an intelligent Christ flame that you really are, you will act like a dog. And you won't even know it while you're going through life. Like in 10 times in one day, I will be put down by either, mostly men, but women too. When I say something outside of the box, people have no hesitation in calling me names publicly. Yesterday, I got called deranged by a guy I don't know. I wasn't talking to him. It was in a French group, and it was a pretty. I can't remember the comment, but oh, I know what it was. I was talking about how my identification keeps getting stolen in Quebec. That government workers, social workers, nurses, they're stealing ID. They stole my ID's been stolen here 5 times. And I was talking about that. And all this man said in his French name was U.S. deranged, U.S. deranged, or U.S. deranged or something, I don't know. Called me deranged. That's a pretty bold word, isn't it? Think about the word. It's easy for a man to call a woman deranged when he disagrees with her. He sure doesn't like to be analyzed by her. He doesn't like to be read into. Well, since he has refused to listen to the wisdom of his mother or a woman, he has grown up with half a brain. He only has his left learned brain left to work with. It's a prison, and it gets emptied every time you're reborn. Like when my mother's reborn into Shanae, her granddaughter, that's when the memories get wiped out of the last life. You cannot come into this new life with those old memories. You may feel something emotional though when you recognize people, or when something really emotional happened in your last life. You can go and see on YouTube reincarnation stories from children. And I have to give you fair warning, there are some liars in there. But you should be able to tell the difference on who's trying to trick your mind and when this is coming from the mouths of the babe, right? And you can count on and trust the mouth mouth of the baby. You can. You can trust his or her imagination far more than you can trust the imagination of somebody who ever sat in front of a cartoon or a teacher. It is the children who are wise emotionally we could count on right now. But what has happened is through the indoctrination, children are not wise. Uh, each generation is becoming less and less attached to their feelings and emotions. My granddaughter told me emotions were bad and she's done with me. She never wants to talk about them again. Well, I'm afraid that's going to be a big problem because she's not going to remember this life when she dies. Do you understand? When she dies, her memories are artificial. There's not the love in the love thread of our lives isn't there. Other people are her step people, her step grandparents, her step grandfather. My ex husband is her step grandfather, and she adores him. She adores her step grandmother who raised her. But she hates me through the word of my sister, my ex husband, and this step grandmother who has no love for this little girl. If they did, they would never, ever, ever interfere in the love between a granddaughter and grandmother. I am a reflection of her, but she has become a dark shadow of herself. She will have no memories of love. And if there's no memories of love, there's no memories. Do you understand? And so when you cross over, you won't know where to go. You won't be able to follow your thread. You have lost the ability to recognize your loves, the ones who really love you. You don't recognize. I know when my son crossed over, he was alive for 2.5 hours, attached to a silver cord, but out of his body because he was burned, right, pretty bad. He lived for 2.5 hours in that condition, but one of his thoughts when he was in that state, floating above the car, one of his thoughts was, I hope the lady in the car is okay. The lady in the car was his wife. He had no idea. No idea. We are connected to our children's mother and father. These threads of life are not to be taken lightly. And if you're interfering in people's lives and you're denying access or you're smearing names against a loved one of a child, not only are you coming back, but you're coming back into grandchildren or great grandchildren who are as degenerate as you are, if not worse. Well, far worse. We're spiraling down. Like for me, for example, there is nobody I would want to be born into here. Nobody. Nobody. And in my conversations with my God, myself, and I have come to learn that that is how you can evolve, is from a degenerating, a thread of life that is degenerated down to nothing, you can evolve, but only if you rebuke them, only if you turn your back on artificial, on fake, on liars, on creeps, on people who take advantage. You know, when I was young, I had a terrible dream and it never left me. It's still in my brain, and I'm going to tell you about it right now. My stepfather was messing with me, and they usually only choose one in the family to target, and then, you know, it's easier, for the family to do a he said, she said thing rather than a he said, they said. So, but he was, since I was 12 and 14. And I was a messed up little girl. My mom didn't love me. My teacher, Mr. Pollock, didn't love me. Nobody loved me. No one ever loved me. I'm going to tell you that right now. When I was a child, nobody loved me. But I remember picking my mother. I remember planning my life. I remember creating my story with my star cluster family. We have stars in our eyes. You see those lights in your pupils? Right? Go look in the mirror. You got lights in those are cameras recording your story. But it cannot see unless it's reality, love. It's blinded by judgment. And people can't find their families when they cross over. They don't recognize them. Or they don't want to. They rebuke them. Because suddenly they can hear their thoughts, feel their feelings, and maybe they've been lied to their whole life. And the dream I had about my stepfather was that he drowned. He died in a water. And his body was on a dock facing down, and his arms and legs stretched out. And he was soaking wet, drowned. He had red hair, burnt red hair, which is not a good sign. I've told you that before. You got burnt red hair is bad. And he had burnt red hair. And his mother showed up. She also had red hair, if I remember right. I believe she did. But his mother showed up as a spirit looking over him. This is her son, right? And in my dream, she took her arm and dismissed him. And she turned her back on him and floated away. We don't own our children. We can't control our children. We can only try to do the best we can with our own limited intelligence. And our own limited intelligence is getting more devilish by the year, more satanic by the year. Lots more redheads coming up.